As the cool, crisp air of the Scandinavian morning settles over the town of Hillerød, a miracle begins to unfold on the water. Out of the morning mist, rising from the dark, still waters of the castle lake, stands a vision of red brick and green copper. This is Frederiksborg Palace. It does not sit heavily on the land like the fortresses of the south. It floats. It is built upon 3 small islands, connected by stone bridges, embracing the water as if the lake itself were its foundation. They call it the Versailles of the north. But unlike Versailles, which dominates the landscape with endless stone, Frederiksborg harmonizes with the Nordic nature, reflecting the sky, the water, and the changing seasons. Listen. Can you hear the gentle lapping of the water against the ancient brickwork? Can you hear the carillon bells ringing from the clock tower, a melody that has echoed across this lake for 400 years? This is a place where ambition met art, creating a masterpiece that defies the cold northern climate. The story of this palace is the story of one man, King Christian IV. He was the Sun King of Denmark, a man of boundless energy, immense appetite, and a passion for architecture. He wanted a residence that would tell the world that Denmark was the master of the Baltic Sea. And so, in the early 17th century, he tore down his father's old hunting lodge and built this Dutch Renaissance wonder. Look at the Neptune fountain in the outer courtyard. The god of the sea stands high, trident in hand, surrounded by mythical creatures. It was a bold statement. Christian was saying, "Even the oceans bow to me." The architecture is a symphony of red brick and sandstone bands, decorated with spires, gables, and statues. It is playful, detailed, and incredibly rich, a stark contrast to the minimalist design we often associate with Scandinavia today. Let us cross the bridge and enter the chapel, the spiritual heart of the palace. This is the only part of the original interior that survived the devastating fire of 1859. As you step inside, you are transported back to the year 1617. The light filters through stained glass, illuminating the incredible silver altar and the historic Compendius organ. This organ is made of wood and ivory, and it still produces the same hauntingly beautiful sounds today as it did when the king was alive. For centuries, this chapel was the stage for the absolute monarchy. Here, the kings of Denmark were anointed. Here, the knights of the Order of the Elephant received their shields. Looking at the walls, you see hundreds of coats of arms, shields of kings, queens, and presidents from around the world, a history book written in heraldry. Moving upwards, we reach the Knights' Hall, the Riddersalen. Reconstructed to its former glory, this vast room was designed for feasting and dancing. The ceiling is a masterpiece of carved wood, painting, and gold leaf, depicting the harmonious movements of the universe. Imagine the long tables laden with roasted venison from the surrounding forests, the flow of wine, and the sound of lutes playing as the midnight sun cast a twilight glow through the windows. The Danish court was known for its revelry, and Frederiksborg was its favorite playground. But beauty, like ice, is fragile. On a freezing night in December 1859, tragedy struck. The king was staying at the palace, He asked for a fire to be lit in a room that had no chimney. The flames quickly spread. Imagine the horror as the fire roared through the drafty corridors. The lake, usually the palace's mirror, now reflected a towering inferno. The roof collapsed. The spires fell hissing into the water or crashing onto the frozen ice. By morning, the pride of Christian IV was a smoking shell. The nation was heartbroken. Denmark was a small country, recently battered by wars, and now its greatest symbol was gone. But from the ashes, a new spirit emerged. The government did not have the money to rebuild, but a man named J.C. Jacobsen did. He was the founder of the Carlsberg brewery. He believed that this palace was not just a royal home, but the memory of the nation. He donated his fortune to rebuild Frederiksborg, not as a residence, but as the Museum of National History. He gave the palace back to the people. Today, as we walk through these halls, we are walking through Jacobsen's gift as much as Christian's dream. Now, let us step outside, to the other side of the lake. Here lies the Baroque garden. If the palace is a celebration of brick and stone, the garden is a celebration of man's control over nature. It is perfectly symmetrical. 4 levels of terraces cascade down towards the lake. Boxwood hedges are trimmed into the royal monograms of the monarchs. Water flows in precise channels, not wild and free like the lake, but tamed and disciplined. It is a visual representation of the order of the universe, as seen through 18th century eyes. Walking along the central axis, looking back at the palace, you see the perfect view. The garden, the lake, and the castle align in a straight line, creating a sense of infinite grandeur. As the sun begins to set, the red bricks of the palace turn a deep, burning orange. The wind dies down, and the water becomes perfectly still once again. Frederiksborg stands as a bridge between the past and the present. It connects the wild ambition of a Renaissance king with the philanthropic generosity of a modern industrialist. It reminds us that true heritage is not just about preserving stones. It is about preserving the stories, the identity, and the soul of a nation. Standing here, watching the swans glide silently across the reflection of the spires, you feel a deep sense of peace. It is a beauty that has survived fire and time, floating eternally on the waters of history. Thank you for joining me on this journey to the Versailles of the North. I hope the cool waters and warm bricks of Frederiksborg have brought a moment of tranquility to your day. If you enjoyed this exploration of Scandinavian beauty, please subscribe to our channel. We have many more castles to visit, many more legends to uncover. Until we meet again, in the next chapter of our timeless journey. Goodbye.